Brilliant. Thanks so much, Sam. Laura. Hi, everybody. I'm Sarah Downs. I'm the Integration Programme Manager here at Telford and Wrekin Council. So my role very much was around bringing the project together and making sure it came to life in Telford and Wrekin. So today, as Sam said, I'll just give you a bit of a kind of reflection in terms of our experience, but also really focus on what difference it made to some of our learners as well. And you'll hear a little bit later from a learner themselves in terms of what they're doing now. So I won't spoil that with you. So watch out for that one coming shortly. So really just picking up on what Laura was saying around that development coordinator, or as we knew them, local education officer. So apologies if I slip back into the old terminology. I think that was really key for us in that we had a point of contact, as Laura said, not just for the learner themselves, but actually for us as a council that we could go to and say, how are they doing? Or actually, we've got a bit of a problem with this little bit. Can we find a solution for it? And he was absolutely brilliant. So that is a real advantage of this way of working. I think one of the things we recognised, and actually building on Laura's analogy around the textbook, is that actually people also really thrive when they're in a peer support group. So one of the things we did just before Christmas really was look at actually, could we bring together those 9-10 people that were using autonomy virtually to really help them on their journey, and actually that combined with the development coordinator made a massive amount of difference. We looked at the difference between their progress sort of pre-then and then their last 3 months, and it was outstanding the difference that made. So I cannot stress enough that actually getting the people together virtually or physically, as we might be able to move forward to as we move through COVID, hopefully, really made a difference. They became very competitive with each other. They really kind of jollied them on a bit in terms of, oh, how did you find that bit? Or I think they were actually down to counting how many videos they'd done that week. But it was absolutely brilliant. And in one way, I wish I'd recorded some of those sessions because it was just very inspirational just to listen to them. It's just amazing. I also want to reflect that I think one of the things that we did right at the very start, and it's linked back to what Stefan was saying about that having the right people using this, and then Laura's criteria, etc. We really focused on, have we got the right people that were part of the project? We didn't want to waste this opportunity. We knew as a council we've got a lot of work to do around supporting people into employment, and also we were on that digital journey. This was just at the start of COVID, or if there is a start of COVID, probably it was about May, wasn't it? I think, Laura, something like that. So we're very much at the start of that digital journey. So we really focused on getting the right learners. So we, in essence, did a pre-screening prior to Laura's screening. And that for us made a massive difference. I want to say we only had one drop out and we managed to slot another one in. So that was really good for us, and also most importantly good for them, as they had that consistency all the way through. I think one of the things that we also did, and I suspect all the other councils have as well, was really embed it in our Care Act assessment process. Obviously throughout that sort of May through to June, July, we reviewed all of our Care Act assessments for people with learning disabilities in light of the fact of the challenges around COVID restrictions and day services and support that they could access. So actually we took that opportunity to actually start those conversations around, do you want to do something maybe virtually? Would that work for you? Obviously it wouldn't work for everybody, and we absolutely appreciate that, but for some people this was absolutely what they were wanting to do, something that made them more independent, and that they could potentially do by themselves as well. I think that was really empowering for them. And that links really to the next bullet point around the positive caring structure. One of those other aspects that we looked at around screening was how supportive were the carers, partners, care providers to support the person to actually go on this journey and try autonomy. For quite a lot of people, doing something new, even for myself, you have to keep doing it, don't you, just to kind of get that into sort of a way of being. So some people need a little bit more prompting, whereas others, after a couple of prompting, it became something they were used to doing. So it was making sure that surrounding them, as well as that development coordinator, were the right people. And that obviously included the social worker as well, as any support workers that we had. And then very much linked to what Laura was saying around the right skills and technology. Absolutely, we asked the question of, do they already have an iPad or an iPhone or something like that? But if they hadn't got it and still wanted to do it, and that was something we looked at with them in terms of helping to support them to do it. Because as Laura said, having that aspiration was absolutely key, and it's definitely something that we didn't want to squash. We wanted to celebrate and help them move through. And actually, I would say that for us here in Telford and Wrekin, COVID has really accelerated some of the digital elements for us. At the same time as doing this, we also launched our sort of internal provider, did a digital support offer as well. So everything kind of complemented each other. That's how I would say. Next slide, please. Sorry, I've always wanted to say that. Rather exciting. So this is just a few little snapshots in terms of seeing some of the actual difference in a numbers point of view. Some people might like numbers, some people might like words. So I'm going for both in this one. So 87% of people had an increase in aspirations, and that's amazing. That's really, really good. 100% increase their understanding of what employment is. Again, that's really important, because a lot of what we are doing or trying to do is understand that people can, with a learning disability, go into employment, and it doesn't have to be a traditional form of employment. It can be, what's the phrase, the world's your oyster, and it's just thinking outside that box. So, some of these stats are, really, really, really impressive. And then the bottom one, or bottom two, is really important in terms of making progress. So 75% made progress in developing the employability skills, and the same in terms of improving confidence, motivation, resilience, and also that anxiety aspect, which I think is probably most of you on the call will understand from this group of people, and well, everybody full stop, in terms of as COVID starts allowing us to open up more, the anxiety levels of everybody is definitely something that we should be aware of. So what I wanted to do next was just share a couple of little stories. So Stacey is one of our autonomy users, and very kindly she said we could share the photos with you guys. So Stacey joined very much from the start. Then 6 months after joining, she did obviously all of the autonomy stuff, but she is now also the co-chair of our Learning Disability Partnership. So she has come on a tremendous way. And this slide and the next one, if we can move to the next one, just shows some of the actual tasks that Stacey did. And I think it's important to say, yes, very much focusing on employability, but the other aspect of autonomy, the independence aspect, was absolutely key as well. And I think that really helped people to get on the journey of autonomy and start using it in their daily lives. And Stacey absolutely loves it. There's another little video that I haven't included because we'll do a different one, around Stacey ironing. And in the background, you can hear her mum saying, my goodness, she's never ironed before. And it's just those small little steps that actually, for Stacey and her mum, made a massive amount of difference. So if we can move on to the next slide, which should hopefully be Martin. Now, before we press play, sorry, Jane, if I just explain. So Martin, again, was somebody that joined from right from the beginning. Martin lives with his partner and very much loved and really, in fact, thrived off the Autonomy app. I think he probably did the most amount of videos and was incredibly competitive. And this is him about a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, in his volunteering role. And if we could press play, Jane, that would be brilliant. I'll let him tell what he's doing.
Martin, we're in the Independent Living Centre, and now I'm a volunteer now. I did stepping into work alongside Jenny, Tracy and Emily. I did travel training, and they got me involved, and I was asked nicely to go ahead and do it. I obviously answer the door, make sure that who's at the door, and then obviously I welcome the customers in. I make sure that they sign in and use sanitizer, and then they go straight in and have their meetings, and then I help them out then with going around and sort the equipment out, see what they need. So I use show them how to use the Alexa and the Ring and the other equipment which we've got on there, like the kettles, electrics, how to make sure that they're seated on properly with the beds, how to make the beds, how to wipe everything down. I enjoy it. It's nice people. I get on really well with everyone, and I work hard on a Friday. And obviously, I'm happy and welcome people into the centre. It's helped me a lot by getting involved. I'm a nice person. I help people a lot. Anyone with a disability can eventually get a job. Hopefully, we'll achieve something at the end of the day.
Brilliant, thanks, Jane. And what I want to say is that Martin is now progressing into an actual job at the Independent Living Centre. So within 9 months of starting, I would say, from autonomy, got his first volunteer placement, and now a couple of months later, moving into employment. And to be fair, he is absolutely thriving down there. And also, he's a really valued member of the team. And I think what Martin didn't say was actually put one of the pieces of tech that he does show everybody is autonomy itself. So he loves to show that to everybody that comes in. So yes, I just wanted to share that with everybody to say that actually, yeah, this is how much of a difference it has made. Next slide, please. Brilliant, thank you. And really just cementing this is just some of the feedback from other learners across our cohort. And I won't read all of them out, but you can see what difference it's really made to people, and people's feeling on being independent, I think, as well, has really thrived and grown exponentially for those 10 that are involved. Next slide, please. And I think I saw something pop up on the chat, and apologies, I'm trying to keep track of it at the same time. I can't multitask that much. Around parent carer feedback. And absolutely, that was something that we wanted to make sure that actually yes, absolutely, it makes a difference to the learner, but actually from a parent carer point of view, they can also see the difference. And I think the one that I want to flag is, yes, improved in all areas, the one that's in bold, but actually the one on the right hand side, which says that they've taken, as sort of parents, they've taken a step back since the learner has started using autonomy. And that's a massive thing for that person and that family. And we really couldn't be more thrilled that we're able to continue with it sort of moving forward for the next year, and just see who else that we can really help support through, whether that's independence or through the employability route. And I think I want to say that's the last of my slides. Apologies if I've run over time, Sam, sorry. I get very passionate about this, so I do apologise.
And rightly so. No, that was brilliant. Thanks, Sarah. We love Martin's story. That's a fantastic journey he's been on over the last 12 months.